We go about our day-to-day lives on this planet that's, well, it's constantly spinning, way faster than the speed of sound, actually. And even though we don't feel a thing, that motion, it governs pretty much everything. So for today's explainer, we're going to dive into a really wild, mind-bending question. What if it all just stopped? I mean, gone. That constant, reliable rotation just suddenly vanishes. I'm not talking about it slowing down over millions of years. Nope. Imagine it coming to a full, screeching halt. The consequences, they would be so immediate, so catastrophic, you literally can't even imagine it.
Okay, so to really wrap your head around the scale of this disaster, you've got to get this one number. Right now, as you're sitting there, if you're near the equator, the Earth's surface, and yeah, that includes you and everything on it, is whipping through space at over 1,000 miles per hour. That's about 1,600 kilometers per hour. And that momentum, well, that's the key to the whole terrifying show that's about to unfold.
All right, so what happens in those first few moments, in the immediate aftermath? Well, the planet would go through something we can only really call the Great Scouring. And we're not talking about an apocalypse that takes days or weeks. No, this one's measured in seconds.
In the whole thing, this entire catastrophe, it all kicks off because of one simple, inescapable law of physics: inertia. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's that feeling when you're in a car and someone slams on the brakes and your body just wants to keep flying forward. Okay, now just imagine that car is the entire planet. And here's the absolute kicker. The solid planet stops, but you don't. The atmosphere doesn't. The oceans don't. Buildings, people, animals, trees. Get this, anything not literally welded to the Earth's bedrock would just keep on going eastward at over 1,000 miles per hour. We'd all be, well, yeeted across the landscape, instantly. It would trigger this just unbelievable chain reaction. So first, the crust stops dead, but the atmosphere, it keeps going, becoming a global, supersonic windstorm that basically sandblasts the entire surface clean. And the oceans, with all that incredible inertia, they'd slosh forward into tsunamis miles high. We're talking waves that wash over whole continents in one go. The entire surface of the Earth would be, for all intents and purposes, sterilized in a matter of minutes. And if you thought, okay, that's it, that's the end, well, you'd be wrong. Because after the surface is completely wiped clean, the planet itself, the very ground, starts to change its shape. So we're moving from, surface-level destruction to a massive geological transformation.
See, the thing is, Earth isn't a perfect ball. All that spinning creates a little bit of a bulge around the middle, around the equator. So if the spin stops, that bulge would just collapse. The planet would start to settle into a perfect sphere, and that process would trigger earthquakes so unbelievably massive that they'd make the biggest quake in recorded history look like a tiny little tremor.
And while the planet is reshaping itself, where do you think all the water goes? That collapsing bulge would basically force all the world's oceans to migrate. Gravity would just pull all that water toward the poles, creating two gigantic polar oceans. And what's left in the middle? A brand new supercontinent, a huge belt of land wrapping all the way around the Earth's new equator. The world map as we know it would be gone, completely redrawn. So let's just pretend for a second. Let's say, somehow against all odds, some form of life survived deep underground. What kind of world would it even emerge into? Well, the new reality would be defined by a day-night cycle that is just impossibly long and brutal.
Yeah, with no spin, a day isn't 24 hours anymore. The only thing that would mark day and night is the Earth's orbit around the sun. What does that mean? It means one day would last an entire year. Just think about that. You'd have 6 straight months of unrelenting daylight, and then 6 straight months of absolute, freezing darkness.
This would create a planet of just unimaginable extremes. The side facing the sun, it would bake for half a year, boiling off any water that might be left. The dark side, it would plunge into temperatures colder than anything we've ever recorded, even in Antarctica. Pretty much nowhere on the entire planet would be habitable. Oh, and if all that wasn't bad enough, there's an invisible killer to worry about. See, the Earth's rotation helps power this dynamo in its core, and that's what generates our protective magnetic field. Our shield, really. Without the spin, that shield could just fail, collapse, and that would leave the planet totally exposed to deadly radiation from the sun, from deep space. There would be absolutely nowhere to hide.
Okay, so a sudden stop is clearly game over for everyone, right? Total wipeout. But what if it happens slowly? What if the Earth just gradually slowed to a stop over a few decades? Could we adapt to that? It's a good question. Let's compare the two.
Well, a gradual stop would definitely spare us that initial violent scouring. There's no getting flung into oblivion effect, which is nice. But, and this is a big but, the end result is pretty much the same. The weather systems would still die out, the planet would still reshape itself, and that year-long day, it would still create those absolutely lethal temperature extremes. It's basically a slower death, but it is just as certain.
So, after going through this whole cascade of planetary destruction, what's the real takeaway here? What's the point? Well, it brings us right back to something we all completely take for granted, every single second of every single day. And that is that this simple, constant spin isn't just some background feature of our world. It's not just scenery. It's the architect of our world. It's what gives us our days and nights, our weather, the very shape of our continents, and even our planet's ability to shield us from all the dangerous stuff out in space.
It's a pretty humbling thought, isn't it? All the stability we rely on, everything we know, is just the product of this constant, high-speed cosmic dance. And thinking about what would happen if the music stopped, even for a second, well, it really puts things in perspective. Makes you appreciate the spin we're in, doesn't it?